Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and this is my review for Solo, a Star Wars story. This content is filled with spoilers for the movie Solo, a Star Wars story. So I absolutely love this movie. It's a 5 out of 5 star movie for me. With that said, I actually think, where I would rank this movie in the Star Wars films is... I would rank it slightly higher than Rogue One, but that's difficult. Slightly higher than Rogue One, and after the prequels, and after the original trilogy, and after Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Right? So it's my second to last favorite Star Wars film. It's still a 5 out of 5 star movie. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really fantastic. But one of the reasons why I was ranking it that way is I really feel very, very passionately that Disney, these Star Wars stories, these are supposed to be smaller films. And we as Americans have really kind of told Disney, you can't make Star Wars, you can't make small films for Star Wars. And I think we should start to try to push back against the culture on this, that it's okay to make smaller films. And this is a smaller film. This is a smaller film than Force Awakens. This is a smaller film than Last Jedi, than anything in the prequels, anything in the original trilogy, anything in the sequel trilogy, right? And I actually love that. In fact, I absolutely love the structure of Solo, because one of the things is, one, I think this movie is called Solo based on the fact that as Americans, it's very hard for us to grasp certain things. When you want to talk about a blockbuster, you want one word that applies to it. And so I really feel this should have been called Solo and Chewie, because this really is about Solo and Chewie. And I really feel that there was equal time given to Chewbacca as there was to Solo in this film. The story that's told in here is very personal to Chewbacca. And one of the things that the Star Wars movie did for me was really show me that Chewbacca is an incredibly important character to me. And I didn't know this. I actually think Chewbacca is more important to me than Han Solo. And the reason why is, one, I like rooting for him. I think he's a better person than Han Solo. The reason he's with Han Solo is loyalty, right? And the fact that that from this, and one of the things I loved about Solo is the structure. So I think a lot of people were like, this is going to tell us a lot about Han Solo. This movie did not tell us very much at all about Han Solo, and I like that. What we got to see was, this is an action story that takes place in Han Solo's early career, right? And he's doing his thing, and Chewbacca's there with him, and we get to see how he builds his criminal expertise, how he literally gets the Millennium Falcon, which is absolutely critical to the history of Chewbacca and to Han Solo. We get to see Lando in action, and we just get to see more of the characters that we already know, and we're really learning virtually nothing new about any of them, right? And I love that. I actually love that, because, and the reason why is, I have, it's just a, there is a part of human nature where the more you know about someone, generally the less you're going to like that person. And it's a terrible aspect, and the few exceptions to this are people that we absolutely love, right? But even friendships, I think they strain as we continue to grow knowledge about someone. So a perfect example of this is for a few years, probably 3 or 4 years, I would walk after during my lunch break, right? And there was a gentleman, and we would walk in the opposite direction every single day. And this took place for about 2.5 years. And I had this incredible goodwill for this gentleman that I would just walk past every day. We wouldn't even say hi. We would not say hi. We wouldn't wave. We would just nod to each other and smile on a good day. And I had so much goodwill toward this other person who I saw 5 times a week, far more often than many of my friends, right? But because I didn't know all these things about this person, there was nothing but goodwill for this person, because I just saw them walking, exercising, and smiling. That's all I saw, right? And I think that's one of the things I love about Han Solo and Chewbacca. These guys are criminals. At heart, they are criminals. You do not want to dig too deep into everything about them. right? Because you're gonna ruin a cool thing, you know. And so I love that this was an action movie. This was a Star Wars Die Hard movie. People getting punched, laser guns getting shot, spaceships getting flown, mountains getting blown up, just villains left and right, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really good from an action perspective. New characters. I thought there was awesome new characters. And to me, the best new characters that come out of this movie, alive, right, are Enfys Nest and Kira. Now, one of the things that's interesting is, the reality is there's just no two ways to actually talk about it. There's no way to not see this. Right now, Star Wars is creating strong female characters on the regular, making sure they're in the films, making sure they're prominent, making sure they survive, right? And I think that's cool. And I know that's a point of contention with a lot of people, but I really like Kira, and I really liked Enfys Nest. Enfys Nest was by far my favorite new character to come out of Solo. I thought she was super competent, super dangerous. I liked everything about her storyline. I loved the twist at the end where Enfys Nest took all of her marauders and who were actually precursor fighters for the rebellion, and actually dressed them as the old and the feeble, and took the old and the feeble and dressed them as the marauders to trick Dryden Voss's men. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, right? I want to take it. So I really liked Enfys Nest a lot. Kira, fascinating, right? So we see her on Corellia to begin with, and then what happens with Kira, right? So Han and Kira are separated in the beginning, right? And you see this situation, and you're like, whoa, this is pretty crazy. What's happening here, right? And there's 3 years where we see Han. That's one thing we did learn. One thing new that we learned about Han Solo is that he was trained to be a pilot very briefly by the Imperial Army, right? So he knows a little bit about flying from the Imperial Army. He did a lot of soldiering with the Imperial Army, and then he comes across Tobias Beckett. Tobias Beckett, very cool character. But one of my favorite parts about Tobias Beckett is Han shot first getting fixed. Han literally shoots Tobias Beckett through the heart first, without hesitation. Completely criminal action. Completely I'm dangerous, I am a criminal. Just really out there, right? But, Enfys Nest, great character, but Kira comes in. We see her on Corellia. Han and Kira get separated, right? So what happens in the 3 years? Well, in the 3 years, Han scrambles around in the Empire for a little while, comes out with nothing except a friendship with Chewbacca, which is huge. There's something there, right? But nothing tangible. Comes out of that with nothing tangible. And we see Kira is now is like a junior lieutenant of a crime syndicate, right? So Kira has done more with that 3 years than Han has done, right? And she's a more dangerous character. She's more competent. She's more criminal. She's more dangerous, right? And, it's pretty incredible. And Kira, one of the things that blew my mind was when Han circles back with Kira. Kira's in control. Kira knows where she's headed, right? And Kira is controlling the relationship between Han and Kira. When the movie ends, right? Kira, having killed Dryden Voss, accepts all of Dryden Voss's power, takes all of his tangible goods, right, and accepts his direct report relationship with Darth Maul without hesitation, without fear. Kira is a complete hardcore criminal and she comes out as a dangerous criminal person, proven by her actions, and saying, I don't care enough about my relationship with Han Solo to preserve it, right? I would rather trade it for all of this power that I'm going to get by being a direct report to Darth Maul. and I could deal with all the problems of dealing directly with Darth Maul, and I could deal with all the problems that are going to come from this. And you're like, whoa, And so I love that, at the end of this film, Kira's in position, Enfys Nest is in position. We can have novels with them. We can have stories with them. They can be continuing characters who continue to grow. And I think this is just amazing. This is a really, really super cool aspect of the story that we're seeing. And I loved it. I absolutely loved this perspective and how this is actually being structured. And I really think that Kira and Enfys Nest are fantastic additions to the Star Wars story. Really, really strong characters, and you're looking at the Star Wars world being stronger from the Solo films, right? I want to talk about my absolute favorite thing in the entire movie, and my absolute favorite thing in Solo is Chewie. So Joonas Suotamo. Joonas Suotamo. He is that is the actor who played Chewbacca in this movie, in Solo. And I was thrilled to see his performance here. He was my favorite thing in the whole movie. Joonas Suotamo is an actor. He is a ex-Finnish basketball player. He is 7 feet tall, and in order to play Chewbacca, they put him in heels, right? They put him in shoes that have a high, that add inches to his height. So he's absolutely mammoth in this movie. He has one of the hardest roles in all of Star Wars. He has to act in a fursuit, right? But Chewbacca is amazing in this movie. He's inscrutable. We don't know his origin. We still don't know his origins. We still don't know his motivations, right? And the only reason he spared Han and didn't kill Han was Han could speak his language, right? And then Chewie was in trouble when he met Han, right? Which means that Chewie is a troublemaker. We don't know if he's a criminal. And to this day, I really don't feel that Chewie is a criminal. I feel like he's somebody who drifts through life, and his loyalty as a friend is one of his greatest aspects, right? And so he is loyal to Han throughout his entire life, right? And to me, Chewie is a furry passepartout. He's really a furry passepartout. But in Force Awakens, Joonas Suotamo worked with Peter Mayhew, and they kind of brought that role to life together, with Peter Mayhew doing some of the actions, Joonas Suotamo doing some of the actions. Then in The Last Jedi, Peter Mayhew continued to consult and tell Joonas Suotamo, you need to do this, you need to do that, to bring Chewbacca to life. And in this movie, this is Joonas Suotamo on his own, really owning the role. And honestly, I think he's more Chewie than Peter Mayhew. Like, I love the idea that Joonas Suotamo has mastered Chewbacca, and we're going to get a lot more films. We're going to get more films with Chewbacca. And even if Solo is the last, right? I just really like that Chewie is getting, Chewbacca is getting these additional films. And it's just so special to me. And Chewbacca, it took Solo the film to show me how important Chewbacca is to me as a part of Star Wars. And I really think that friendship is a huge aspect within Star Wars. And one of the most beautiful friendships in all of Star Wars is Chewbacca and Han Solo. And they're chaotic, they're mischievous, they are criminal. But it's a Sundance, and it's Sundance. And oh man, why am I drawing a blank on the other guy? But they just have a great relationship, and I was really blown away with the job that Joonas Suotamo does in this movie. And I really walked out of. It was my biggest concern with Solo, was that they were going to get the history of Chewbacca right, and really we learned nothing new about Chewbacca in this movie. I will say this: I actually cried in this movie. I cried when Han says to Kira, throw off, turn on the fluvial dampers and push forward the thrusters. She does not know how to do that. And, and Chewbacca just taps Kira on the shoulder. Kira takes the note, gets out of the way, and Chewbacca steps over the seat, sits down next to Han, and just goes to town being an amazing pilot. And I lost it. Like, there were tears coming down out of my eyes, you know. And so that's why this movie is a 5 out of 5 star movie for me. Is I just was so thrilled to see Juna Suotamo bringing Chewbacca to perfect life as a perfect Star Wars character with perfect respect for that character's history and a perfect through line. And I was blown away. I absolutely love Star Wars. Solo, A Star Wars Story, 5 out of 5 star movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you've seen it, go see it again. I've seen it twice. Amazing film. Take care.